Coming up on The Returned.
I spent the entire day calling hospitals and prisons and different places where he might be seen. I get a phone call from the Harris County Medical Examiner's office. And I said, "Is my son dead?" And they said, "Yes." And I just started screaming, "Oh my God, oh my God. What happened?" They said, "We can't tell you. It's a homicide investigation." When Corey died, that was my awakening. He activated me. He and I have been working together for many lifetimes. And it was as if he was saying to me, "I'm finished now. I'm going to the other side." And all of a sudden, I feel this like rush of like cold water, like rippling up and down my body. He's not there. He's here.
Hi, and welcome to The Returned. The truth always follows you back.
We had this nice little charmed life with 3 beautiful children. I was Christian and I was a perfectionist and was living this very risk-free life and everything just seemed like hunky-dory. And then Corey decided to shake it up. And I mean, he shook it up really big. So, as a teenager, he became involved with alcohol and drugs and oh man, he put us through the ringer. I'm not gonna lie. And he wound up in rehab and he muddled through to his early 20s. And he made his way to Austin, Texas, where he found the ecstatic dance community, which is, by the way, my community now, and it's so important to me. But when he found the ecstatic dance community, he found home, he found community, he found sobriety, and he just flourished. And he spent this year having this experience of just feeling like a year of service, endearing himself to the people of Austin, Texas. And it was quite lovely. But then a year after his time here, he was going through an intersection and he was riding a bicycle and a car failed to yield on the left turn. So his head hit full on, going 35 miles per hour with this vehicle, and it knocked him out, cut him from here to here, lost a tooth, blah, blah, blah. He was unconscious, but he survived. Nonetheless, that kind of trauma and head injury, it put him in a tailspin. And he decided, I'm going to leave Austin, Texas, and I am going to take a Craigslist ride to San Diego, California, which is across country. And so basically, he lived on the streets and beaches of California, homeless, and yeah, he did things while he was there. You know, he had this desire to connect with people. And so one of the things he was really interested in meaningful connection, and he got really vulnerable. So he decided to sit in this public place and hold up a sign that said, "Free answers." And people would come by and look and say, "Answers to what?" And he said, "Questions." And so amidst all of that, this lady comes along and she's obviously drunk. And she stumbles out and she looks at the sign and she looks at Corey and she says, "Will I get my children back?" Corey looked at her with such eyes of compassion and he said, "The fear that you have is preventing you from getting what you want." And he spent time with her and she wound up inviting him to sleep on her sofa that night. So these were the kind of things he did. Like he also, not just as a homeless person, but working with homeless people. One of the things he was doing here is trying to shift people's idea about the untouchables to realize that these are infinite souls. going through their human experiences, which is really tough. And, can we look beyond that? And so he did some creative things in order to shift people's mentality. So he'd stand on the street corner and he'd hold a sign that said, reverse panhandling. And when people rolled down their window and said, what's that? He threw money in their car and walked away laughing. It's brilliant. So, yes. And so after about 2-3 months in San Diego, he was starting to get tired. And he was ready to try to get some money to go home. And he went to Tijuana, Mexico, where he was looking for some cheap motel and food. And he got approached by the coyotes, which those are the people that help you cross over illegally. And he saw, oh, this is a good deal. I get some money to go home and then some money gets to come in. Well, they told him it was a ticketable offense. It's not a ticketable offense. It's a federal felony offense punishable up to 3 years. And so he did it. And then he's like, okay, I'm ready to get paid. They said, oh, no, we want you to do this like a career. He's like, I don't really want to do that. And they said, well, no, you're going to do it again before we're going to pay you. And then they set him up to get caught. And so we get a phone call. He's in federal prison in downtown San Diego. So we put together a memorandum. It's like a 60, 70-page memorandum of letters from volunteers, people he worked for, his community, 3-page letters from PhDs, the pictures, family, people he worked for. And the judge on the sentencing day, he puts down his gavel and he says, first of all, I want to say this is the most extensive memorandum that I've ever received in my entire career. And I see that the defendant and the nature of the crime don't match. And so I am going to sentence him to time served, which was 4 months. 6 months house arrest in Baton Rouge, Louisiana with his parents. That's not an easy thing. First of all, Baton Rouge was a very toxic place for him. And so here he comes, goes and sees the probation officer. And he's in Baton Rouge at that time, gets his little ankle bracelet, and they proceed to tell him that, okay, you're going to do what we tell you to do. You're going to work where we tell you to go work. You're going to go where I tell you to go. You're going to hang out with the people that we tell you to go to hang out with. But here's the kicker. You may not move back to Austin, Texas, which was his home. And this made him very angry and resentful. And mind you, he really did try his best. He tried, but it just wasn't working. And after about a year, he wasn't being as compliant as they wanted him to. And he had failed a drug test a couple months before. And so they decided, we're going to send him back to jail. We're going to revoke him. But I didn't know that was going to happen. Meanwhile, I had received this ping to pray for him to receive forgiveness. And I had my then husband and my sister praying. And lo and behold, on a Saturday morning, he woke up and he had this supernatural ability to forgive. Now, mind you, he'd been in step programs. He tried before, but he wasn't successful. But something happened within him, and it was like this portal that he went through, and it put him in this unshakable peace. And no one was going to be able to disturb that peace. And 3 days later, the federal marshals show up, and they say, hey, Mr. Roussel, we can do this the easy way, where you just gather all your stuff and you come peaceably with us. Or we could do this the hard way, where we kick in your teeth, we throw your stuff around, and you still have to come with us. So needless to say, he gathered up all his stuff and he went peaceably. And he felt no worries whatsoever. In fact, he felt like he won the lottery because he had decided that he was going to transmute his prison sentence into a time of personal transformation. And that's exactly what he did. He showed up at this jail cell and he turned that jail cell into an ashram, a temple, a psychotherapist's office, a college
No.
classroom. And he began to read and write and share and meditate. And lo and behold, he's writing me these letters and he's telling me things like, we're all connected. And like I told you, I was a Christian. I'm like, well, this is new information to me. And then he's telling me, he's sharing. So my must have read like 100 books that year. He was in there for another year. And he was asking me to read the book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And I finally did. And a month after I read that book, this is back in 2012, something happened. And I had decided, okay, this is it. I am going to throw away all of my ideas of good, bad, right, wrong, tradition, religion, and I am going to go to the I don't know. And I'm not going to lie. I felt like I got flung off into outer space. And I didn't know anybody who was doing that. Except Corey.
Mhm.
He lived across the country. I was living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He lived across the country. So he became, and we didn't say this, but he became like my teacher, my guru. And he was going through such a powerful transformation, so much so that like I took that year's worth of letters from prison and I compiled it into a book called The Way Out, A Guide to Being Free from the Prison of Your Mind. He was extremely prolific. And so anyway, here he is in prison, and I am being prepared. I didn't know that he was going to die 2 years later, but Source knew, Spirit knew. And so I was being prepared for this exit. So he got out of prison after a year, and he lived for another year and a half. The last 6 months of his life were very enlightening and blossom. He's like a flower that just like blossomed. And one day he called me up and he said, Mom, it is our due diligence. It is our responsibility to document the truths and inspirations by which we live. And he started a project inspiring people to create a document like this. And he created a document that he was big into quotes. So he created a document that had a quote, and then he would write a little paragraph, a little expose about that. And so when I read it, I said, I'm a creative person. And I said, I'm going to surprise him for his birthday. And I am going to create a little book, just like from Office Depot, where the quote is on one side and the expose is on the other. And so I created this book. And on his birthday, I handed him this copy of this book. And he's like, oh my gosh, I wrote a book. And I didn't even know it. And 2 months later, he passed. And we passed out over 500 copies of that book between the 2 memorials and thereafter. Okay, so now I'm going to share something that I have not shared publicly,
Okay.
at least not on any podcast, but one of the letters that he wrote, he said, God permeates and comprises all, an ocean of energy and potential that connects us all. As we grow and begin thinking, we get out of harmony with the energy. By silencing our minds and purifying karma, our speech, thoughts, and actions, we reunite, harmonize with this unity, and achieve the ultimate goal, which is the end of suffering. Enlightenment, which is a crystallization of consciousness, apparently, this crystallization actually takes on physical form. Sharira. Would you please look up a Wikipedia article for me? Now, what I found out when I looked it up is that Sharira, also, it's a Sanskrit word, also spelled Sarira, is a term for crystals found in the relics of enlightened beings. And so, about 6 months after Corey passed and he was cremated, I remembered what he said. And I actually sifted through his ashes and found about 60 of these crystals. This one, this ring is the largest one. This is actually Corey in crystallization of consciousness. There's some crystals in this little thing here. I have more elsewhere. So I've talked to people about this Sarira for a decade, and very few people have ever heard of that. But you can look it up on Google, and you can find the pictures of temple masters and their Sarira. So let's move on to the death. Okay, so this was back in 2014, and Corey was living in Austin, Texas. I was living in Baton Rouge, Texas, and Houston's in between. And so he decided he was going to come visit me in Baton Rouge. But before he was going to do that, he wanted to go to Houston for a few days to visit with his friend who was an inmate and he hadn't seen for 2 years. He wanted to go for several days. So he takes a mega bus ride to Houston. And the plan was that he's going to go on Sunday morning to my house through the bus with his friend. Well, the Saturday night, this is supposed to be on Sunday. So Saturday night, he decides that he is going to just walk around downtown Houston the whole night. He's not going to stay at a hostel. And so about 4:30 in the morning, the security cameras show him being chased into the downtown Houston library space. And when he was in that space, he was basically had a backpack with his laptop and his phone, etc. And you know when you're like, you have something and you're fighting over it like this?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when you let go, how you go backwards? Well, the back of his head hit the pole and it started an internal bleed. Remember, he had a traumatic head injury before, so he was very sensitive to that. Started bleeding internally, and he just like immediately just kind of wigged out. He's not in his right mind. So he runs out of there and he goes down a couple of blocks and there's this parking garage. Now, mind you, it's Sunday morning. There's no security guard. This parking garage is closed. And there's a gate like this. It's an underground parking garage. And then there's this space like a knee wall that you could jump down, which he did. He jumped down. He went down 3 levels. And then there's this big yellow emergency phone. Well, he collapsed right in front of that phone on the curb, and then he started bleeding externally. And he crawled away about 10, 15 feet, and then he laid down on his back. I call it his final shavasana, and he wasn't found until 18 hours later by a security guard. Meanwhile, his other friend that was supposed to, he calls me up Sunday morning at 8 o'clock and says, Corey's not here. And so the whole day we're like, Corey's been in trouble before. It's not the first time that something like this has happened. Surely he's going to show up. But he didn't. And we knew his phone was stolen. We found that out. Next thing you know, the next day, I spent the entire day calling hospitals and prisons and different places where he might be seen and have been seen. And about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a phone call from the Harris County Medical Examiner's office. And I said, is my son dead? And they said, yes. And I just started screaming, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And they said, do you want us to call you back? I said, no. What happened? They said, we can't tell you. It's a homicide investigation. And so they gave me the number to the detective, they put me on hold for like 20 minutes. Then the tell me that the detective left for the day. So traumatizing. So traumatizing. Finally get up with him and, find out that, well, somebody, it's an under investigation. So I need to back up and say that when Corey died, that was my awakening. He activated me. He and I have been working together for many lifetimes, and now it was time. And it was as if he was saying to me, I'm finished now. I'm going to the other side where I can be of more service. And so this is like an extremely traumatizing thing. And I want to speak to parents out there who have lost one of your own. And I want to say my heart goes out to you because this is tough. And I am also welcoming anyone who's had this experience to reach out to me because I'm here for you.
Oh,
So, yes. And so here I am, traumatized. And yet at the same time, because I'd had this amazing experience with him through this transformation he went through, it was like, here I am traumatized, but then here I am feeling so held, so supported. So there was like this journey of feeling my human and then feeling this knowing that I'm being held. And I was pretty much granted right away 2 gifts. And they were special. The gifts of acceptance and the gift of perspective. And I knew that something greater than his death was going on. And so
wow.
2 days later, we go to Houston, Texas to view his body before it's cremated. He looked amazing because, they hadn't embalmed him. Just looked like he was taking a nap. And my family and friends were sitting in chairs. And then, like, there's Corey's body right next to me. And I'm standing there. And all of a sudden, I feel this like rush of like cold water, like rippling up and down my body. And I started laughing and I started crying at the same time. And my family, it is like, oh my gosh, she's losing it. And I just said, he's not there. He's here. That was a Wednesday. The next morning, Thursday morning, right before I woke up in that lucid dreaming state, I had a dream. And Corey showed up with this big old snake wrapped around his arm, and the snake had its fangs bared. And I said, is it poisonous? And he said, no. And the implication was, it's not going to kill you, Mom. And he put the snake right in my face, and I screamed, no, Corey. And I woke up crying. And I knew exactly what he was telling me. He was telling me, I need you to face your fears, Mom, because you have a big job ahead of you. And it's going to require a lot of courage. Up until that point, I'd lived a very fearful and risk-free life. And that's not why I came. And so I made it my life's mantra from that day forward to face my fear, allow, and open to love.
That's beautiful. When you started to actually, I'm going to go back just a little bit. I wanted to go back to that. It was his dancing, the
Ecstatic
X.
dance.
Thank you. I couldn't read what I wrote. I'm like, okay, what is that? Okay.
Go
When
ahead.
he started on that was very interesting. Um, what my question is all these little instances that you have had with Corey, some good, some bad, some, and then leading up to his departure. Do you think those were all planned?
Oh my gosh, everything is planned. Every single bit. If it weren't for the ecstatic dance community, I wouldn't be talking to you right now, which that is my core community now. And for those who aren't aware, ecstatic dance is practiced around the world, but we in Austin, Texas have, by the way, I moved to Austin, Texas several years after Corey passed, but we have the oldest dance community in the country. And it's a very powerful way for you to, it's free form, nonverbal, substance-free experience that's very intentional. And it is
Mm.
so healing and so powerful. It helps you to like be yourself. Let go of all your inhibitions, all your worries about judgments about yourself, and let your cellular memory take over. And it's really a microcosm for the macrocosm of life. If we could just
Can you
show
hold
up.
on just 1 second? I keep hearing things, and then the doorbell rang, but it didn't register on my phone, and I'm like, I don't know, but I'm so sorry. I'm like, what is going on in this room? It's like tripping me out for a minute here. Is your son playing tricks on me?
He's so
Yeah,
naughty.
I'm like, what is happening? Because I've got the doorbell that links to my phone, but it's not that loud.
Okay, well,
What
there's a
an
story.
odd thing
There's a
going on
story in
here.
that. I
Yeah.
actually have a story about
Do
doorbell and
you?
Corey visitation, yeah.
Well, that's
So
just something because, yeah, I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Oh my goodness.
wow.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No worries. Well, we could just go ahead and start from, moving on past the ecstatic dance. Well, I wanna
Absolutely.
finish that statement about how ecstatic dance is important.
Sure. Sounds
Okay.
good.
So one of the things that I think is so important about ecstatic dance, it's really a microcosm for the macrocosm of life. And what I found is when you can just show up and let your inhibitions, leave them at the door, your judgments of yourself and of others judging you, then you can show up and let your cellular memory take over and be you. And the same is true in life. It's a very freeing and liberating experience. So, and also that was how Corey was able to come into his freedom. That was initiated. And then he brought me into the community before he passed. And then I made my way to Austin, Texas as much as I could until I moved here 4 years later. And I'm like, yes, this is it.
When I listened to how he went into prison and he changed it all around, that reminds me of kind of like something Jesus would do.
It really was kind of, he looked at it like almost like a monk. Okay. And everything's a matter of perspective. And I do want to bring that out. I want to tell you a short story about that he
Sure.
wrote in one of his letters. And that is, um, he recognized that he needed to be alone. There's all these cellmates and everything, and it gets really loud and crazy. And so he did silly stuff to get into solitary confinement. So here he is in solitary confinement. And he said that about 20 people a day would come look in his little window and ask him if he's okay, because they want to make sure you're not killing yourself. And so one day, the CO, a lady comes by and she said, "How are you?" He said, "Excellent." She said, "Excellent? You can't be excellent. You're in prison." He said, "So are you." She said, "Well, I get to go home." He said, "So do I." Ha ha ha. And you have to understand that what he was doing there in solitaire is he was sitting in one place, reading and meditating and writing. He was having experiences with double interlocking rainbows, singing Buddhas, psychedelic experiences where he was smelling the most beautiful perfume, iridescent mists. Yeah. So it was quite a transformation.
Wow.
It was it was much easier because this was the kind of experience. It was like, you soak up something like that. And the weird thing is that he was so like light years beyond where most humans are that I mean he was the black sheep, okay? And
Mhm.
so
Mm.
the family and friends, they were like, I don't know about him. They didn't really give him credit. But I knew something really, really special is happening here. And so that's how it went. I
No.
also wanted to say, because you asked the question about how things happen and is it random? It's not random. And
No.
for example, and I told you that when he died, that I was activated and it was like my rebirth. Okay. And so the place where he died, it was in Houston, Texas, and I lived in Louisiana. The address was 1111, which is the numerology, means new beginnings, Louisiana Street. The name of the building is Center Point Energy. You
My
can't even
goodness.
make that stuff up. Yes, and the thing is that we all have an appointed time, and a soul chooses their exit point. This is important
Yeah.
information because we think things are random. They're not. He actually almost got run over by a car when he was out of his mind running down the street. He could have died up there, but no. There's the exact time, the exact place. And a soul, sometimes a soul will get more than one choice about how to exit. Don't worry about how your soul has exited. And death isn't hard. They just go, poof, here I am, and there I go.
There they go.
Yeah, I mean, so death is really an illusion. It doesn't exist. They're still here. They're just in another dimension. And to illustrate that, I went to Sedona, and have you ever heard of these
Oh,
aura cameras? Well,
no.
I had my aura done, and the white orbs are the presence of my spirit guide. Do you see the white? So those of you out there thinking, oh, my person left and they're gone and they abandoned me. They didn't leave. They're right there next to you. And they're like wanting you to know, we want to support you. We want to connect with you. And that's why talking about this is so important to me, because it's my passion to help people connect with their loved ones on the other side. But there's a process to that. Because understand that these beings on the other side are at such a high frequency, like they're way over here. And most of the time, we humans are stuck in this state of true grief. And so our frequency is very low. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is they're trying, but they can't connect with you because you're not really available to that frequency. It's like turning a radio on. It's like you're not turning the knob up. So we need to be able to, they'll lower their frequency a bit, and then you have to be able to raise your frequency in order to connect. And that's why I do want to share the whole reason that this experience happened and the gift of how I learned how to heal myself through this intense grief journey. But before I do want to speak directly to people who've lost someone that is their loved one, that's really close to them, and they have an intense desire to connect. Now, first of all, I want you to address limiting beliefs, because you can have all the positive affirmations and information in the world, but if you have limiting beliefs, it's going to block you. And so I had two main limiting beliefs when I started experiencing all this crazy stuff, because Corey became my spirit guide and started showing up in all kind of crazy ways. And my family, I'm not going to lie, they kind of gaslit me. People think you're crazy. So there's the first limiting belief. People are going to think I'm crazy. They're going to put me in the loony bin. The second one, it's taboo to talk to dead people. And so after a little while, I started looking at that and I'm like, why am I going to let other people's ideas about my life direct how I behave? I don't think so. I'm going to let go of those limiting beliefs and I'm going to open myself wide open to receive. So there's the invitation. Find out what's keeping you from really fully opening. The next one is your spirit guides, your loved ones. They want so much to connect with you, but you have to be present, pay attention to how they're trying to connect with you. So I'm going to give you some simple things to look for. This is a big one, and that is their birthday numbers. Corey's birthday is 822. So any of those numbers, 228, 822, 22, yeah, whatever, any combination, I'll see it on license plates. I saw it when we started this phone
That's right.
call, and I'll see it sometimes several times a day. It's a little wink from the other side saying, I'm here, Mom, I got your back. Same with my dad, 229. So the day that they transition, Corey's is 1026. The day I found out that he passed, 1027. He died at age 27. 27 when I see 27. He was born in 1987, so when I see 87. These are all ways for you. Numerology is so important to everything. In fact, in one of the letters that Corey wrote, he said, I used to fret about why God isn't saying anything to me. And he said, but then I realized that God is speaking all the time, actually singing all the time. Like they're there, so pay attention. So other things, animals, creatures, I'd have like a little bird just come and sit right there in the window for 20 minutes, like looking at me right by my face. Hello. He was a big lizard man, so lizards show up. Also, his Mayan animal is the deer. The deer will cross right in front of me just as a way to say, I'm here. Music. Music's a big one. One time, and by the way, I have been able to communicate with Corey, like just a conversation, okay? And he doesn't like have these big, long things, but what he says is like really on the money. So I'm driving down the road and I have music on and I'm telling Corey, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z for me. And he said, it doesn't work that way. I'm not your genie. And so just as he said that, the song lyric said, you're my genie in disguise, full of wonder and surprise. And what he was doing, and this is really important, what he was doing is pointing me back to myself. I'm not to venerate him. He's not Santa Claus. He's not going to tell me what to do. He's not going to tell me the future. He's here as my guide and my companion. So it's super important that you get your priorities straight. He would do things sometimes, like in dreams, he would be mean to me. Kind of like these koans that these Buddhist masters will like smack their disciples on the head with a stick. Like, so rude. And I realized what he was doing is, don't make me your God. You are your own guru. You're your own teacher. I'm just helping you to open to your own divinity. And that's the goal here. So dreams are so important. We're actually going into other dimensions. And, even if you think, oh, this isn't really real, it is real. And especially some of them are even more lucid. So I need to share a dream because you were just saying, we took a little break, but you started to hear things and you heard your doorbell ring and it wasn't showing up on your phone. And so I want to tell you a story about a dream that I had. There was a lucid dream right before I woke up and I heard the doorbell ring and I heard it like, oh, I need to get up because there's somebody at my door. Oh, it was 111 for me here. So the doorbell rings and I go down. In my dream I did, but it felt like I was going down, when I go down and I open the door and it was nighttime and Corey's standing there and he's smiling. I'm like, you're here. Yay. And so he had in his hand this blue cylinder of light. He said, watch this. And he went, and he put it inside of me and lit me up. Like, oh, wow. So,
Wow.
yeah. So dreams are so important. That's one of the primary ways that he has directly communicated substantial information to me. So pay attention to your dreams. And you can also cultivate your dream state, because a lot of people say, I don't remember my dreams. You'll have to learn how to make an intention to remember your dreams. When you wake up directly afterwards, if you remember even anything, immediately record it so that you can begin to cultivate this dream work. It's
So have
super,
a
super
dream
important.
journal
Yes. And I like to
beside
do
your
it
bed.
audio, like immediately pull your phone and just
Mm,
start talking, because within 5-10 seconds, it's gone. You
yeah.
have to start speaking and you'll get better at it.
Advice. Dreams really do have meaning. I know that for sure. My dreams are extremely lucid, and I've seen often many of my transitioned loved ones. Not only that, but another one you said was music. My stepdad always was sending me music, and I was thinking to myself when I would get it so loud you would think you had a headphone in.
Hmm.
But then when you'd listen and you'd go and you look up the music, because I would know the lyrics, I don't know how, but I would just know them. You knew that the music wasn't actually for me. It was actually for my mom, because my
Wow.
mom was completely closed. She didn't believe in this. She doesn't, whatever. So
Hmm.
he couldn't get through to her. So
Yes,
he
it used you.
knew he was trying to come through me. So then I'd phone her and say, what does this song mean to you? Because this is what I got. She would cry. Oh, no, 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 no. I said, oh, yes, mother. He is. And she just, and I just wanted to say one more thing. I lost my grandmother just
Mhm.
yesterday. I went and seen her and said my goodbyes and my Godspeed. And she was a woman of God. And, but one thing she said before she went was, Steve. That was one of her last words, and that was her son, my stepdad
Wow.
that had passed away. I think he's walked his mom home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
But you and I have been blaming Corey for some of the little stuff that's going on, but I don't think it's just Corey. I hate to say. Grandma's like, I'm here. Hello. Oh, a couple months after Corey passed, it was New Year's, and I had this dream, and Corey showed up, and it was so real. It's like I was touching him, like, oh my gosh, you're back. How are we going to explain that? He said, yeah, I can be here for 30 more days. And so what I've read in the Tibetan book of living and dying is there's such a thing
Mhm.
as bardo states.
Yeah.
So it's a really kind of a rich time right after the first few months, couple, 2-3 months afterward. And they can be more present in physical form and show up in unique ways than when it's been years. They have a hard
Mhm.
time getting into the physical form that you can recognize them. They can't stay in it very long.
Yeah.
That's why. I was
Yeah.
sleeping one time like this, and I physically felt him tickle me to wake me up. He would do silly stuff like that.
Do it's so amazing. I'm very fortunate that I can see, feel, and hear things. I really wish that everybody else would be as well and maybe learn. And that's where you come in. People
Yes,
like you, that can help people get there. I could too, but I don't do that.
yes.
I don't do that for a living.
You
Hmm.
have people like me talk about that, which
That's
we'll get to that.
right.
But I do want to also say that synchronicities, which is like
Oh, yeah.
they're not coincidences, they're supernatural experiences. Then the more synchronicities happen in your life, then as you're raising your frequency, more is happening. It's source's way, spirit's way of saying you're right on track, just showing you. So this is another way that our loved ones can connect with us. Um, Also, I encourage meditation. Okay,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
going to talk about meditation and then reframe it in just a minute, but you can have a whole lot of experiences that way. Also, learn how to have conversations with your loved one. You may think, but he's not talking back. She's not talking back. Well, sometimes they will, and it may be just like a little one liner or a punchy thing. For example, and it's impactful. So I was on the phone with somebody, a family member, and it was a difficult conversation. And the person is kind of like, all over the place. And so I hang up the phone and I say, Corey, what do I do with that? And he said to me, that's her reality. Let her have her reality. This is gold. We're so busy trying to change people. We think that people have to do it the way we think they should do. That's not right. Don't worry about it. Let everybody do their own thing. Go about your business. It's not your place to try to change somebody's mind or convince them of anything or to have them be in some state of being that you think is better for them. You don't know. Yes. So another one I want to say of those one-liners, Corey and I had a pretty tumultuous relationship, and it got better towards the end, but still he was working with so much in this lifetime. I mean, he was bringing human evolution to a new level by taking on addiction and homelessness and all these things and raising the frequency of that. This is big work. And so I asked him, I said, why did you resist me so much? And he said, I wasn't really resisting you. I was resisting parts of myself that you triggered in me and I wasn't quite ready to be with. This is gold. This is gold. And this is how it goes with people. You think they're so obstinate. They fight me so much. I'm doing the best I can and they're still fighting me. They're not really fighting you. They're fighting themselves. Be patient. Be compassionate. Understand that maybe one day they'll be able to stop and be with their feelings, but not necessarily today.
So interesting. If
Yes.
we were taught a different way to be from the beginning, we wouldn't be like this. We wouldn't be in so much grief and hurting and, going into deep depressions of grief when people pass on. Like if we were taught that this is what was the truth,
Well, that's
we
what we're
wouldn't.
evolving right now in the new earth.
That's,
This is going to be the
mhm.
norm for people to have a healthy upbringing and a healthy thinking. Okay, but we're transitioning. That's why podcasts like yours are so special because it's cutting edge and it's showing people how they can come into this new way of being, which is a good transition point for me to go into my healing process.
Yes, please do.
Is there anything you want to say before we transition? Okay.
No, I'm really good.
Okay, so this process is called the space process. And so space, the acronym for space, stands for stillness, presence, authenticity with acceptance, connection with compassion, and empathy. So I'm going to speak briefly about each of these things. Now, bear in mind, you can listen to as many podcasts or read as many books. You can get all of the information in the world. But if you don't actually do these practices and actually integrate them into your life, they do you no good. And so this is not about trying to get the monkey off your back. This is not about trying to feel better. This is about being free. This is about opening to this love that you are. So we're going to start with S, stillness. And I'm going to invite you to, I don't use the word meditation here in this process because there's so many connotations about meditation and people think you got to do it this way. You got to have your legs crossed. You got to have blah, blah, blah. You can't think and all this stuff. I'm going to invite you to take all your thoughts about meditation, throw them out the window. Poof. We're going to start over. So now we're going to just talk about stillness. And we want this daily practice that you're going to develop to be as seamless as drinking a cup of coffee or brushing your teeth. You just do it and you don't even think about it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to download an app on your phone called Insight Timer. And that timer has a little starting bell, some ambient music, and an ending bell. And those bells and the music it's kind of a little life hack. It bypasses your mind and it helps you to have this parasympathetic response so that you can just relax. And the idea is you're just going to start with 5 minutes. Now, if you're an experienced meditator, you can go a little bit more, but I'm going to ask you just to start with 5 minutes. You're going to sit in a chair, not on the floor, with a back to the chair and your feet on the ground so that you're comfortable. Because guess what? If you're not comfortable, you're not going to do it. So
Yeah.
we're going to sit in that chair. We're going to turn on the timer, and all you're going to do is sit there as still as you can. If you have to scratch your nose, do that. It doesn't matter. And you can think about whatever you want to. Your grocery bill, your grocery list, your fight you had with somebody or whatever. But you can also just watch yourself thinking about all that and like, wow, I like to think of these parts of myself. They're sometimes a little neurotic, always thinking about the worst case scenario. Think of them as little monkeys. Like, oh, my monkeys are so crazy today. They're swinging from the chandeliers. They're throwing my fine china like frisbees and jumping on the bed, having pillow fights. And wow, they're so cute. They're so crazy and dramatic, too. They ought to get an Oscar for their dramatic performances. So you don't worry about that. So the whole idea about stillness is, imagine that if I had some sand in here and I stirred this up, you wouldn't be able to see through this glass. But
Right.
over time, it would settle, and then you can see clearly. So what we're
Mhm.
working with is an overstimulated nervous system. It's most of the time, it's just like this. You're about to jump out of your skin sometimes. And so when we sit, we give a chance for everything. Everybody just calm down. Just calm down. Settle down. So that's stillness. If 5 minutes becomes easy peasy, by the way, we're learning to be super gentle and kind with ourselves. We're learning never to force ourselves to do a single thing. Wow. Forget the word discipline and all that stuff. Everything that I'm going to share with you is as simple as pie. It's simple, but it's unfamiliar to us. And so you can choose. Do you want to stay up all night worrying about something? Or do you want to sit in a chair for 5 minutes? What would you like to do? Okay. I'm going to suggest that you go for the sitting in the chair for 5 minutes. It's going to serve you better and it's going to start changing your life. If your 5 minutes becomes easy, consider adding a few more minutes and ask your soul, what is my end goal you naturally built? Maybe it's 10 minutes a day. Maybe it's 20 minutes a day. By the way, there are really few people who are called to meditate for hours or even an hour a day. Okay. So
Mhm.
it's not about time. It's just the consistency of learning to be still. And if you get super triggered about something, go sit in a chair for 5 minutes. Yes. Stillness. Let's move on to presence. Presence is super, super important because, first of all, we're not used to being present. We're used to being back there in the past and over there in the future. So when you're present, you're operating from your true essence, from your divine, limitless nature, because we are presence connected together with all that is, all time, all space, everything, every dimension. So you're merging yourself with the one when you're present. Now, our human brain cannot understand that. We think it's so unimportant. Do not confuse simple with unimportant. These simple practices will change your life completely. So now, we're not used to being present, so we have to practice presence. And we practice in the simple ways because if you expect to be with your feelings eventually, that you don't like and you're not used to, when you're not used to practicing presence, when there's no drama and trauma, good luck with that. And if you do try to do it, you're going to be forcing yourself. And that's actually an act of aggression.
Mm. Hmm.
We do not force ourselves to be with our feelings when we're not ready.
Mhm.
So just like if you want to go and learn how to lift weights, maybe you want to lift 200 pounds. Well, you don't start up with 200 pounds. You don't even start with
Mhm.
100 pounds. You might
That's
start
right.
with 20 pounds. And then you build your way up. And the more you practice anything, the easier it gets and the better you get at it.
Mhm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to think about some simple ways to practice presence. And one of them is throughout the day to think of your breath. And let's do this right now. Just take a deep breath. And look around the room and notice. And then maybe you go on later on today, you're like, oh, I'm going to think of my breath. You do the same thing. So what you're doing is you're bringing yourself back to this moment. Okay, so let's say you're cooking dinner. You're chopping some carrots or sweeping the floor. Put all of your focus, like laser focus, like on what you're doing. Feel the broom in your hand. Look at the dirt there. Just like, don't multitask. I used to be so good at multitasking. I was like an expert. Like Corey taught me this. These are things Corey taught me. He said, you stop multitasking, you do one thing at a time. And what I'm telling you right now about being present is so powerful that, for example, in the space of the first 4 years after Corey passed, and these were things he taught me how to be present before he passed. So I was able to, in 4 years, grieve the loss of a son, publish 10 books, walk the Camino 3 times, run a small business, do it all without being busy. I do not live a busy life. All of that energy you're spending doing is wasted, frenetic energy. And you're operating within a very limited sphere, your human logic, ability, and resources. And you're going to work much harder. Wouldn't it be a whole lot better for you to work within your divine, limitless nature and really do some magic?
Yeah, it really would.
So this is like so simple that most people aren't ready for simple. I'm going to be honest with you. But so it works. So here we started with this. Now there's another exercise that I like to do. And by the way, looking at people in the eyes, just really feeling your body throughout the day. When you're walking, feel your feet touch the floor, walking down the hall. Okay, so there's an exercise that I like to do, and I'll get you to help me with it. And that is, I like to check in with 4 different aspects of myself. And I'm inviting people to do this practice once a day, at least. Check in with what I'm feeling in my body, what I'm feeling with my feelings, what I'm feeling with my thoughts, and what I'm feeling with my higher self, what I'm experiencing, what's present. So right now, what's present with my body is I feel my bottom in the chair. I hear the hum of the computer. I feel my hands on my lap, and I feel my hair on the top of my arm. What about you?
I feel my feet on the floor, um, my rear end on the chair as well. I hear my ceiling fan, and I hear my dog snoring.
I love it. Okay,
Mhm.
so now I'm going to check in with my feelings. And by the way, you can have a whole range of feelings. You can have anxiety and peace at the same time. You can have sadness and joy. And the more honest you can be with yourself, the better. So I'm going to check in with my feelings. I'm feeling super excited and super peaceful at the
Mhm.
same time. I'm feeling a lot of joy. I'm feeling a lot of love and tenderness. Those are my feelings right now. What about
Mhm.
you?
My feelings are definitely of peaceful. I feel very peaceful right now, and very calm. Um, I feel happy. Yeah, and I feel somber? Just I feel flow, like I'm in a flow. Yeah. I feel great. Mhm.
Amazing. Okay, so now I'm gonna move to our thoughts, and you can have a gajillion thoughts at any one time. And in this particular moment, and I don't judge whatever I'm thinking. This could be wherever. Okay. Imagining you as a podcast host, you're like, is this thing working? And blah, blah, blah. We had some problems at the beginning. But right now, I'm thinking about how lovely, lovely it is spending time with you. And I'm thinking about your grandmother, Jessie. And I'm thinking about, yeah, this is such a wonderful opportunity to share uh, what's happened in my life. And I'm thinking about Corey and just the amazing life that I've been able to have. What about you?
I feel very fortunate to have met you. Very fortunate. And there was something I wrote down here about that is that um space, really could work for me, even though I'm not thinking about loss of a child or anything, but I think it
No,
could
it's for
work for
everyone.
anybody.
It's
Yeah.
for anyone.
I was thinking that. I was thinking about that. I was thinking who is at the door.
You
To
know
be
that.
honest, I was, and I was also thinking that this is such a nice conversation. Mhm.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. Mhm.
So the last one is, and some people might take them a while to develop this one, is checking in with what my higher self is saying. And you're welcome to do this if you feel comfortable. If you're not really feeling it right now, you're welcome not to. But I'm going to just go ahead and see what my higher self is saying. And it's like, all is well. Life is beautiful. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for enduring so much suffering. Don't worry. Everything's happening in your favor. Love is here now, and nothing is impossible to you. Anything is possible. You're here at such an important time in human history. I invite you to open to love here now, and I love you.
That's wonderful.
Okay. Would you
That's
like
just
to do
wonderful.
would you like to do that, or would you like to just move on to the next one?
No, I won't do it for this one because I
Yes.
couldn't hear because I was so enthralled listening to you. Yeah, I
No
actually
worries.
feel like that was like a little mini meditation for me. Not even kidding you. Like I
Yes.
just feel so calm right now.
Oh, I
And it's
love this.
so
I love this.
wonderful.
So, now let's move on to authenticity with acceptance. So, we're not so honest with ourselves and our feelings because everything within us wants to push away bad feelings. We call them bad. I'm calling them bad and I'm with quotes, okay? Because they're not bad. But everything within us would like to say, when somebody says, "How you doing?" You say, "Fine," even though back there, I feel so anxious. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills this month. I feel so sad. I'm thinking about my family member that passed away, or my argument that I had with my spouse or something like that. And so we try to push it away, and we're not really honest about how we feel. So if you want to heal your feelings, we have to own them and say, "Yes, I'm feeling sad and happy at the same time. I'm feeling anxious and maybe I'm feeling peaceful, maybe not." So the other part of that is that we're developing a relationship with this part of ourselves. So I need to frame all of this into a nice little understanding, because everything that I'm telling you is basically flipping the script completely. All of our conditioning, all of our programming, everything within us is used to doing it this way. And I'm telling you this other way. So Before you even came into that skin, you, as a soul, volunteered. You weren't sent here against your will. You volunteered to come into that body and that story. And you probably saying, why in the world? What was I thinking? And you were thinking that because Earth is a way to evolve your soul very quickly. This is a very dense dimension. And big wigs come here, the ones who really want something really difficult. And some of them, maybe they leave and it didn't go so well for them when they left, but that's okay. They're part of this human evolution and we need everybody's doing their part. And so you have this little soul plan for what you're going to learn and what you're going to experience in this lifetime. And you have to experience it before you can heal it. And when you heal it, that's your contribution to human evolution. So thank you. You're a hero for coming. Right. So here you are, and you say, I'm going to go down into that body and I'm going to experience all this stuff. And then you land over here in this body and you're like, dang, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be. And right away as a child, your parents and society starts telling you, you're not allowed to feel angry. You're not allowed to feel sad. You're not allowed to feel anxious, and do not throw a temper tantrum. No, that's not going to work. So what do? You start stuffing it. Poof, stuff it down in the basement of your heart. All of your feelings are down there. And so I like to think of my feelings like little girls. Okay? And they're down there and they're so sad. The other thing that I wanted to say is that when you come into this body, your memory is wiped. Now, first of all, before you come here, you are love itself. You still are. Mm-hmm. But you're love itself choosing to come into a human body. And you are the most powerful force that exists, connected together with all that is. And so your choice to come here is to feel this human and have this human experience that feels separate from love, separate from life, the very love that you are. But see, your human mind doesn't know that because 99% of us, we go around thinking that we're just humans, subject to all that is here. And you totally forgot that, oh, that's just a little tiny speck of who you are. You're an infinite being. You're love itself. And so your job that you volunteered to do is, as love, to take care of this human that feels separate from love and bring it back into the one love that we are. Mm-hmm. So this changes the story a whole lot more. We're no longer victims. Now we got a job to do to open to this love that we are so we can take care of this human. So now here we are. We got all these girls down in the basement and they're knocking and saying, we want to come out. We're hungry. We're tired. We want to be seen, felt, and heard by you, by me. Mm-hmm. We want to be loved and accepted exactly as we are, which is what every single one of us want to be loved and accepted exactly as we are. So, but guess what? We spent all of our lives distracting, pushing, numbing away all of our feelings. And we've been kind of mean to ourselves, and they don't like us at all because we're so mean to them. So if you are an enemy with somebody and you've been mean to them and they've been mean to you, and then one day you say, hey, I'd like to be your friend. What are you going to say to them? No way. That's not going to work for me because I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. And so you have to be so genuine. You have to build a relationship with these parts of yourself. You have to go slow. You have to build trust. And so it starts with allowing those feelings to be here, owning it and allowing it, and eventually accepting these feelings as they are. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick little thing. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes And I would like for you to picture the sad one in you. See her in front of you. She's a younger version of you. Do you see her? Now, all I want you to do is smile at her. And then I want you to say, "You are allowed to be here." Out loud.
Oh,
Oh,
what happened here?
I don't know.
Sorry.
Maybe we ought to
You
do
are
that part.
allowed to be here.
You are allowed to be here. And so I want you to tell me, what is your sad one doing right now when you said that and smiled?
Um, well, I feel like I've got jitters in my stomach after saying that, to be honest.
Okay, but do you see your
Mhm.
sad one? Is she like confused?
Yes,
Little
always.
nervous? Like, what is going on with you? You done lost your marbles? You never said that to me before. This is normal. This is normal because it doesn't trust you. But the more you just like genuinely come and say, "Hello, you're allowed to be here. Climb in the back seat. Let's go." And
I like
so
that.
we start with the first thing of allowing. And then we come to acceptance of these feelings. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel anxious. I'm going to invite you to say, "It's okay to feel sad.
It's okay to feel sad.
It's okay to feel anxious.
It's okay to feel anxious.
It's okay to feel angry."
It's okay to feel angry.
So what we're doing is we're taking the wrongness out of our feelings. We're flipping the script. Now, you imagine if you have this mountain and there's this little stream coming down the mountain, and the stream has built this little groove like that. Well, if you want to build a new neural pathway in your brain, you got to have a lot of water coming down another
Right.
way over and over and over. So we're building new neural pathways. We're flipping the script. So we start that way. And then, and by the way, all of this, you can't go from here to here. And you can't just take mental knowledge and say, "Now I know and I'm done. I've got the formula." This is not a formula. This is a way of life. You build practices. This is how you embody the love that you are. You learn how to love these parts of you as they arise. When you're able to love you and accept these feelings as they arise, that is how you embody unconditional love. This is the very reason why we don't really understand what unconditional love is, and we don't see it very much. Is because in order for someone to unconditionally love another person, they must first unconditionally love themselves by loving and accepting all of their feelings as they arise. And that's what the goal is here. So now, moving on to connection with compassion. So we're basically building that relationship. And at first, your sadness, we're going to start with sadness. We don't start with anger. Anger is like down the road when you're really good, because anger is like at a very high vibration and sadness is down lower. So we get our process down and we're not going to force ourselves on ourselves. And if you got the idea that you say, "Come in here, sadness, and tell me all about it," and then leave because I don't like you, you're not going to trick yourself that way. That's not coming from love. You have to do everything as love, tending to this human that feels so separate from love. Now imagine these parts of you have like been trying to protect you, trying to get you what you need and want. Man, they've suffered greatly. What? To be pushed away, demonized, resisted, fought? You know what you resist persists. What you fight, you strengthen. So it's no wonder why people are having a hard time healing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's like gold. If you realize, oh, the antidote to resistance is acceptance. Instead of me fighting my feelings, I can accept them. Oh my gosh. That's worth the price of admission right there. So that's the first little step. So we're going to connect with ourselves very gently. So that what that might look like is, I'm feeling sad right now. Okay, sadness, come over here and I'll give you 10 minutes to tell me about it. And you just keep showing up that way, owning it, investigating it. And the more you show up with compassion, you're not doing this as a human. You're doing this as your higher self, love. You identify as love because you've learned how to be present and still. This is who you are, taking care of these human parts of you. That's the framework. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Otherwise, you're operating from your spiritual ego that masks as your higher self. But your spiritual ego is the one that keeps cracking the whip and telling you to do it harder, and you're not doing it right. And that's why people spend all their time in every kind of modality, reading every kind of book, going to all these healers, trying to find something to get the monkey off their back, and we got to do it harder. I'm just not doing it enough. It's not outside of yourself, and it's not hard. And you don't have to have a bunch of discipline. The way that you enable and exert your divine will is just by choosing. I choose acceptance. It's not, it's funny to me how when people are like at their lowest, they're the weakest place in their life, and people want to tell them, just get your willpower, just pull yourself up. How is that going to do that?
So sad
No,
when you hear stuff like that.
no. And we, in our spiritual ego will tell us, you so sorry. You so bad. You can't even get this together. You just should be doing that. No, we have to learn how to identify as love, being so gentle and kind with ourselves. And the last thing is empathy. And empathy is like, I'm going to sit over there with my sadness and my anxiety, and I'm going to give them a big hug. And so I want to tell you a quick little story, and that is, imagine this little boy that got bullied on the playground, and he comes home and he's like throwing a temper tantrum and crying and just not in a good mood. And the parent, they could say things like, if you want to cry, go to your bedroom because I don't want to hear it. Okay. And these are the things that we've said or our parents said to us,
Yeah.
but we say to ourselves. Okay, if you want to cry, I'll give you something to cry about. Wow.
Right.
And I'm just going to ignore you until you stop behaving that way. These are not kind and compassionate ways of being. So now let's talk about human evolution around the 2000s or so, and Eckhart Tolle and others come on the scene and they tell us about being present and observing our feelings, etc. And so maybe we have here the little kid's on the living room floor and he's thrashing about and everything, and you say to the little kid, hey, you're welcome to be sad and cry, and I'm just going to stand over here and watch you. And that's good, fine, and dandy. But we're going to cinch the deal, and we're going to move into empathy. And now that little kid's finished, you say, come over here, sit on my lap, and tell me all about it. And they say, so-and-so pushed me down on the playground, and I got a boo-boo on my knee, and, oh, let's put a Band-Aid on it. Let me twist it. And I am so sorry. You're safe now. I'm here for you. And so this is what we're learning to do with our feelings. And when we're able to do that, we actually transmute all of these feelings back into love. Real quick, Beauty and the Beast. The Beast is the prince in disguise as the Beast. And he's waiting for the kiss of unconditional love to set him free. And Belle can't know that he's the prince. She must love him as the Beast. And when she kisses him, woo, he morphs back into the prince. Well, what was shown to me is that the Beast, I'm going to take the word fear. All of our stuff, I'm going to put it in there. The Beast is fear. And when we're able to love and accept our fear as it arises, woof, we transform it back into love. Our sadness is joy in disguise. When you're able to love and accept it as it arises, woof, you come into your joy. I'm not going to lie. Some people, they hear my story and they see my joy, which is my signature. And they're like, what is wrong with her? Is she on something? This is our natural state. And the reason I tapped into my joy is because of my deep, intense grief. I learned how to love the hell out of my grief and I transmuted into my joy. So that's the opportunity. My anxiety is my excitement for life and my peace. And my anger is my power and my passion. So through this process, if you can genuinely learn how to be love, ending to this human, and love and
Mhm.
accept your feelings as they arise, poof,
That's
you embody the love that we are. And the last thing I want to share about this process is a practice that is like gold, and it's called audio journaling. And you can do this anytime, anywhere. You might even do it several times a day if you're having a particularly difficult day. So anytime you feel anything, you're like, something's going wrong. I don't really know what's going on inside of me. You pull out your phone, you have an audio memos app, boop, and you just start going after it. I mean, you might be screaming, you might cry, you might cuss somebody out, call people names, anything goes.
Mhm.
Right after you do that memo, you listen to it. Both parts are equally important. So what's happening is when you do the audio memo, you are giving space to this human that's all compacted there to express, to be free,
Mhm.
unfiltered. And then when you're listening to it, you're giving space for your higher self to listen with non-judgmental presence and compassion.
I
This
love
will catapult your healing process.
I really like that.
And I highly it's nothing, and this is such a simple thing to do. And
Mhm.
look, people spend a lot of money going for 1 hour a week to a therapist for years. Well, you get to do this anytime you want to. And especially, we're not on a schedule when you go to the therapist. You might not be feeling the things you felt whenever. You get to do this anytime you want to, and you get to become your own therapist.
I really love that. I'm actually going to try that. That's really cool.
Yes. Yes. And all of this stuff is in this book that I created, Creating Soulful Space, a practical guide to self-love. It has this entire space process along with some really cool, heartwarming stories and some other stuff. So, and it's written so simply. Like I put a lot of spacing in there. So it's really like a little guidebook to these practices. Yes. So, yes, and so I'm curious, what's it like for you to hear this perspective?
Well, it's really different. I've gone through lots of counseling over my time. Um, and I actually suffer from panic and anxiety. And I've gone to lots of different I've gone through so many things for it. And I could never realize like what sometimes I know it's triggered from not enough sleep.
Mhm.
So I know that. Um, but your way, I am actually going to try because I actually
Yes.
think it could work. Yeah.
Yes, and it actually
And
does
I mean,
work.
I know that this could also be for people that have lost loved ones, but I
It's for
also think it
everyone.
can work for everyone. I
It's for
really do.
everyone.
Because I wrote down every single thing you were saying. I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to try that. And I actually really like the audio journaling as well. I journal, um, but I think it would be a lot easier
Yes.
to pick up and say right away what you're thinking on your everything that's there right. Sometimes it's hard to just like, get it out fast enough too
Exactly.
on
And
paper.
not only that, when you're listening to it, the frequency of your voice, and if you're crying, that's like, that triggers your compassion even more. It's a higher frequency of communication.
Oh,
These are like
you're
such simple things,
and
but
where
they
did
make
you learn this information?
just through my process. This is my
So
gift to the
awesome.
world.
Thank you.
Literally, it's like cinching what we as human beings have evolved consciously. It's like the end of the the process here. And also the vocabulary. We've never been told this vocabulary, but I have vocabulary that goes with this empathy. And it's things like, I am so sorry. I'm here for you now. You've worked so hard and suffered so much trying to protect me and get me what you need and want. You can rest now. I'm here for you. It's okay. I'm going to take care of you.
Inner
So we
child
learn
healing,
this
that's
vocabulary.
what
Yeah,
it's like. Yeah.
we learn this vocabulary because we're never were taught this or modeled this. This is part of the
It's
deal.
beautiful.
And also building emotional intelligence because we
Hmm.
are taught to not feel. So we learn, what am I feeling? And we learned how to build that and get in touch with. And I did want to say, when you said about uh, the panic and the anxiety and from not sleep, I do want to say that any of these feelings as they arise, there's nothing wrong whenever any of these feelings arise. And sometimes you may like try to find a reason for it
That's
or
right.
try to find a control. If I know the reason, I can control the reason, and then I won't feel that. That's not effective. The reason these feelings arise is because they're ready to be loved here now. When you
Love
have that
that.
understanding, there's never anything wrong. In fact, to be able to switch the wrongness so that not only are you allowing these feelings, you get to a point where you can say, I absolutely love my sadness. She's so beautiful. I
Mm.
love my anger. She's so beautiful. And I like to think of this. When I say love the hell out of yourself, I'm literally meaning that. And I think of myself coming down into hell where all of these feelings are suffering so much. And I just hold out my arms. I say, hello, love is here. Come over here and tell me all about it.
Aw, you're such a
Yeah.
wonderful woman, you know that?
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
Just
And thank you for the
beautiful.
chance to share this.
I
This is
have
the
a
first
question.
podcast. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, I was going to
no,
say, this
you
is the
go
first
ahead.
podcast that someone has explored these things so deeply. And it is a joy to talk to you.
Oh, thank you very much. My question, if you could leave our listeners with only one message about life after loss, about awakening, and about our true nature, what would that be?
Hmm. You are love itself. Nothing is impossible to you. You are a divine, limitless being. You have the opportunity to face your fears, allow, and open to love. You are here for a very important reason. I'm inviting you to remember who you are and why
Mm.
you came. We need you.
Oh,
I love you.
that is so nice. This was wonderful. I think I might have to have you back because we took so long. We just got in the zone, didn't we? We just went off on everything. That was absolutely extraordinary.
Yes.
Honestly, you
Yes.
are one heck of a woman.
Wow.
You
Thank
really
you.
are. Oh, you like emanate pure love and like excitement and joy all in one little body. It's so crazy. You can see it in you. It's so
Wow.
nice to see.
I want to thank you so much for the
Oh,
opportunity to be here. It's
you're
been a real
welcome.
pleasure and a joy. I could stay here all day with you, but we don't have all
I
day.
know, but I will have you back because I'd
Thank
like
you.
to go through some other parts of your other books and things like
Yes.
that. I'd really like to know more about you.
I would love to be back. And I've got so much fun stuff to share.
I bet you do. Denise, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story and your heart with all of us. Your journey shows us that love truly transcends worlds.
It does.
Even after loss, our connections can grow deeper, guiding us toward healing and a greater purpose. Through your relationship with Corey and Spirit, you remind us that those we love are never truly gone. Their presence can be a source of inspiration and transformation. And to all my listeners, may this story be a gentle reminder that even through profound loss, we can find new ways to connect, to heal, and to experience love beyond the physical. And until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep returning to the truth within you.